What's poppin' world? Back at it again. Y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. Without further ado, y'all ready to title. Let's get right into it. Well, I was just sitting up there doing my regular morning routine, getting myself ready after this 10-hour reset. And, I've just been doing a lot of reflecting over these last few weeks and stuff like that, and I've just been dropping, videos on it, consistently, a lot more consistently than times in the past. And really it's just I don't know, it serves a multi-purpose. For one, definitely trying to bring awareness and just a light to the nature of this road, you feel me? Because I do feel like trucking is one of those industries where it's just so far detached away from society that I don't think people understand, like, the nature of this business and the things people got to go through to pretty much make their money, right? So it's pros and cons with everything, you feel me? And this is not a video trying to get like sympathy or any pity from the working class that has their regular, I don't want to say regular, but just like they stay where they stay, you feel me? And you got like regular in regards to just your routine, right? Just you go to work, you clock in, you go home, you go to sleep, you spend time with your friends and family, and that's pretty much like the norm. That's what I want to say instead of regular. The norm, right? This is far and apart out of the norm of most occupations, right? Having to leave, having to travel, having to go places. Now, depending on what kind of person you are, that actually might be something you would rather do than to just be in your city or in your town and so on and so forth, right? But what this video is about, it's just that, you feel me, bringing awareness. But the other purpose that it serves is that it is an outlet, you feel me? It's a way for me to connect, with the world and with the community that exceeds outside of my physical range, you feel me? Because most of the time that was spent on this week has been on just nothing but the interstate. So, but I just want to top it up with y'all, man. Just like I said, bring some awareness to y'all. So let's get right into it. Let's get busy, right? So, being out here comes with, like I said, it comes with its pros and cons. If you like to travel, this is probably the perfect occupation for you, because you're literally getting paid to move around consistently and be able to see the country. You feel me? It's a dope experience in that regard. You get to see, especially you're a person that like nature. This is a great situation or position to be in. Now, let's talk about health, mental health, things of that sort. Because this is an alternative lifestyle, this definitely would be considered an alternative lifestyle because it's not of the norm, right? In order to take care of yourself and making sure that your mental right, you feel me? First and foremost, you gotta have a morning routine and a night routine, you feel me? Like, when you wake up in the morning, cleaning your truck, you feel me? Cleaning the inside of your truck, you got any mess, any trash, because you're living in here, so you're gonna eat, you're gonna be clothes changing, you feel me? You got your necessities like your game system, or just making sure everything nice and neat, so that way you're in a clean environment that you feel me, your mental can be able to breathe in, you feel me? Because when it's all cluttered and you just feel all confined, I can see how that could take a toll on somebody's mental state, right? That also goes the same thing with your nighttime regimen, you feel me? Like, making sure getting to the truck stop, taking your shower, washing your clothes, just doing everything that you would usually do, because it does get uncomfortable out here, especially those that haven't never used the laundromat, so on and so forth. Those ain't never bought a shower or used the shower that existed outside of a house. You feel me? Feel like a locker room. But aside from that, you know, that's why I consider this an alternative lifestyle, just because of all the adjustments you got to make. You feel me? You got to be able to, make your adjustments so that way, your health is on point. That's first and foremost the most important thing about this industry. You feel me? Because if you're being negligent, feel me, it'll chew you up and spit you out. And, also your mental state could also affect your driving. You feel me? If you're going through depression, you're going through anxiety, you're going through homesickness, things of that sort. Feel me? It could affect your physical health, your mental health, the way you perform, things of that sort. So that's why it's just paramount to make sure you keep up with your mind and your body and stuff like that, right? Second thing, that's the most important thing. What are you doing all this for? You feel me? Why are you driving all these miles? Do you have a goal? You feel me? Is there an end game towards this, or there's another level you can get to? Do you want to own your own truck? Do you just want to save enough money to where you can start a business and get out trucking? You feel me? Because to some people that's in this industry, it isn't an end all be all. And also as well, because you have a CDL, it's evergreen, meaning that you don't have to worry about, when you quit a trucking job, that 6 months later you can't jump back into the same industry and pick up from where you left off at. That you don't have to worry about, I got to get a raise and so on and so forth. Like, your experience is your experience, and that's always going to carry on with you. You feel me? So having a goal, because the important thing about having a goal is that's what's going to be your selling point, what drives you, what makes you want to endure. You feel me? And if you want to endure, you feel me, that's going to put you in a position to where you can succeed. So that's another thing. Third thing is, on this road, it's a psychology game. You feel me? It's contrary to what most people would like to believe. It's a psychology game. It's you versus you. It's monotony. It's mundane. It's just redundant, repetitive. You driving on the road, it gets really boring, and you got to keep your mind stimulated. Especially if you're driving 8, 10, 11 hours. Up to 11 hours. In a day, 5 days a week, that can put a toll on your mind. You feel me? So with that being said, you got to ask yourself, like, all right, what level am I trying to get to with this? You feel me? Far as like conquering yourself, because you're going to discover yourself on a deeper level on this road, because it's you versus you. There ain't no micromanaging. There ain't no people in your head. Now, some companies may do that. You feel me? Especially it might be a private fleet, but for the most part, you're a responsible adult. You pretty much have autonomy over the entire, process. You feel me? That's regarding the equipment, making sure you're doing your pre-trips. Now, you can do your pre-trips relatively consistently, right? But also as well, making sure you get to appointment times, making sure you're reading the bill of lading, making sure stuff got seals on it. There's so much stuff you got to be attentive to, because you don't want to get jammed up with either carrying freight, got the wrong paperwork, going to a yard, grabbing the wrong freight, the wrong trailer just because it was similar to the trailer you were supposed to get. It's just certain little things that could dramatically affect your experience out here. So my personal opinion, contrary to what most would like to believe, and you're really not supposed to be doing it anyway, but who am I? I'm not a person that's that's so entrenched in this that I'm just Mr. do everything by, but the point is like you shouldn't be indulging in any kind of drug, really. Whether it's, you can go after weed or anything else, right? Even the legal substance, as far as like alcohol. I wouldn't be indulging in much of anything because you gotta, especially you're over the road, you gotta keep your mind sharp. You gotta check the equipment, check your tires, check your components and compartments, making sure your levels and your fluids is, you know, um, up there. You feel me? Washer fluid, um, power steering, uh, the radiator. You feel me? Well, the coolant reservoir where the coolant goes into the radiator, because a couple weeks back or a few weeks back, my radiator ended up overheating and busting and leaking due to the fact that um, it could have just been an old radiator, or the coolant levels was just I don't know, but that's just an example of you got to be on top of your equipment. You feel me? You got to, and it's not your equipment, but because it's in your possession, you got to treat it like it's yours because you're the one being responsible for it. You feel me? So, um, keeping your mind sharp, you feel me? And that's why I say it's a psychological game because it's teaching you about responsibility, and autonomy over things that really nobody can drive this truck for you. You feel me? When you get tired, you get sleepy, you know, you got to make the judgment call to decide, all right, am I going to pull over or am I going to keep going? You know, because the company is not going to miss you, you know, uh, if you put yourself in harm's way due to, oh, I got to impress the company and I got to go out of harm's way, or I got to go into harm's way to try to prove myself because I'm such a hard worker. Like, yeah, you want to work hard out here, but relatively to your capabilities and your, you got to know your limitations. You got to understand, like, hey, all right, I'm either tired or I'm severely tired. And if you're severely tired, you got to make that judgment call, like, okay, is that 50 miles as close as it is, worth me trying to push it all the way up there, or do I need to go to a rest area somewhere that's not ideal and just call it a night and live to fight another day? That would be at your discretion. You feel me? But it's a psychological game. You feel me? Because you're in a secluded area, you got to rely on your imagination a lot more, to be able to get through your day. So with that being said, right, uh, that's another part of this industry, is that, it's you versus you. Now, I say the thing right after that is preparation. You feel me? How do you prepare for the day? Because yet again, it kind of goes back to my previous point. If you're not a responsible person being proactive, you're just leaving room for, things that could happen. Not to say that they will, but, you just got to just make sure that, you're just being responsible and being proactive. So if you need food, stock it in with food. You need water, stock up with water. You need entertainment, get yourself a TV and a subscription and, some internet. Actually, let me see if I can grab it real quick. My shameless plug, which is not my plug, but, it's just something that this AT&T business Wi-Fi box right here, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's a game changer. And this is just I've barely been doing this, but it's unlimited internet. All you gotta do is plug it in, and it works really, really well. And it's $60 a month, and it will change your life in this truck. Because yeah, you could be scrolling off your phone and things of that sort, but if you got a game system or you got a TV and you want to watch movies and stuff like that, You know, you just got to be prepared. It's all about preparation. So, like I said, taking care of your upkeep, you know, uh, making sure you got toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, body wash, laundry detergent, food, water. You know, you got to build this up like this is your house. You feel me? Because it is your house. It's your home. You know, where you live at home, you know, where you live at, that's your second home now. This is your primary residence because this is where you're going to spend most of your time at. In this truck, you know, if you're going over the road, and you got to make it comfy. You feel me? Because what if you have a breakdown? You know, and you're in the middle of nowhere. You know, and you got to wait 2, 3, 4, maybe the very next day in order to get towed. You know, do you have things to sit up there and keep your mind, you know, at ease? Yeah, it's messed up to be broke down. I was just there not too long ago. But when you got entertainment, you know, you kind of calm your nerves and be like, man, I'm getting paid to chill. And you change your whole mindset about your circumstance and situation. So preparation is paramount in this industry. You feel me? Making sure you fueling up the truck because you don't want to keep going, not, you know, paying attention to your gauges and stuff like that, and then end up in a stretch where you can't get to a fuel station in time and run out of fuel. So it's about preparation. Trip planning especially is paramount because if you got a destination that you got to get to and it's going to take you over a day because, you know, you only can drive so many hours in a day, yeah, you got to see ahead of time, all right, what truck stops am I willing to go to? If there's a detour, do I have an alternative truck stop am I going to go to? You know, is there parking at this truck stop? You know, things of that sort, you know, because it's stressful. When you sit up there, you drive 6, 7 hours, 8, 10 hours, and you finally ready to shut down. You get to a truck stop, and you just sigh of relief, and then, you know, ain't no parking. So you either got to keep going, or I don't know what you got to do, you know. But with that being said, you know, appreciate y'all watching this video. You feel me? Hopefully this definitely helped y'all out. You feel me? Because these are some things that I had to learn firsthand along the way. Some things were brought to my attention, and others I had to just kind of get out here and figure it out. So hopefully y'all are able to make, you know, great value out of this situation and this conversation. And yeah, man, got any thoughts, leave them below. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'm up out of here.